Hey, we are your hosts, NixMyth.
And Kylie Jo Smith, and today's episode is called Feel Your Feelings.
But you can still be wrong.
Oh.
We are talking about how do you understand your emotions versus reality.
That's a really big topic.
Well, we've got time. It's our podcast. We can do what we want.
True.
But first, let's address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
Check out our new setup, y'all. And if you're listening and you have not yet seen any of our videos, then you need to go to our videos.
Yeah,
and check us out on YouTube.
You may be able to hear some of the difference, though. I mean, I'm not being weird.
No.
Because we have been able to upgrade our sound setup.
Yeah.
Why did I say it like that?
Our sound setup. We also want to give a shout out to our Patreon people. It is because of you that we are able to do this.
Yeah.
We thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And if you want to support the podcast, go to Patreon and then you can be a part of our tribe.
Yeah, we have a new goal. We met our first goal and we have another one that we are working towards. So you can be a part of that. And the more that you are able to invest in this endeavor, the more perks there are for you.
That's right.
Just in life.
That's right. Hey, I'm going to adjust something as a sound guy.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Your microphone's a little too far away from your mouth.
Really?
Yeah. See, if you do this one.
Okay, I'm doing it.
No, look. If you do this one. Loosen it. Loosen that one. Pivot it. There you go.
Okay, is that better?
That's a lot better.
Okay.
There we go. We just going to keep on rolling.
Okay.
New setup, same Nick.
Who else we need to shout out?
We need to shout out Hope for the Hood. So if you're not watching, then you're missing out because you're looking at a pretty dope beanie I got.
It is really nice.
It says Hope for the Hood right here.
I think it's mine, actually, that you're wearing.
Well, possession's 9/10 of the law, so you got to fight me because this is mine at the moment. Hope for the Hood. If you don't know who they are, you need to check them out. They are a ministry based out of Wichita, Kansas, and they are reaching the lost and the broken people that may have an aversion to walking into a church building. They're going out in the streets and they're ministering to men and women, broken people. They've got Bible studies.
Yeah.
They've got music. Out of this world. So go look them up on Facebook, look them up on YouTube, Hope for the Hood. I think it's Hope for the Hood Ministries. So
yes,
check them out. Who else we shouting out before we get into this?
We cannot get too far into this without shouting out the Sankofa Club.
Sankofa Club, what's
of
up?
which we are a part. I must say. And
we're club members.
Yes. If you didn't see our video we posted this week about why can we not stop talking about Sankofa Club? Well, watch the video. It's a cute little clip of our kids. I'm not just saying that because they're our kids and they're cute and we think
Although they are both of those things.
But I'm just saying they are cute. And so what you want to do is you want to go on our website, NixMythPodcast.com, and you want to click on where it says Sankofa Club. And you can actually join our tribe. You can be in this with us. And it's awesome. We are so thankful to be able to be tied to this club. So if you want to be part of the club, be part of the club.
And then today, oh,
that's right.
Not for Patreon. Patreon people get this early. So for Patreon folks, Sunday. But if you are listening to this or watching the video, this is available today. Pre-orders for our Make America Kind hat and our Be Blessed t-shirt are available on our website. So if you go to www.NixMythPodcast.com, click on the link that says gear, and you will see our stuff and you will be able to pre-order. Now, pre-order is going to close soon.
Yeah.
So you need to get your order in early so that we can get the orders made and sent off so that you have it so you can look fresh in your new gear.
You'll want to wear this new hat when you go
or your Be Blessed
and
shirt.
Cast your vote.
You
just
want
saying.
both, actually, is what you want.
You know what? You should wear both because there will be red, white, and blue in the ensemble.
Representing.
You need this outfit. I'm just saying. You need it. So, you go ahead and pre-order that and we'll get that sent out to you. It is a custom design, just so you know. You will not be able to get this design anywhere else.
Nowhere else. So, awesome. Well, before we get into the meat of it, we need to talk about something that's just everywhere right now, and that is germs.
Oh my gosh.
Y'all, the coronavirus is they're threatening to shut down the Olympics in Tokyo because of the coronavirus. It's a real deal right now.
Okay.
But here's what I want to talk about. It kind of goes with our topic a little bit.
Okay.
Why do people get so offended when you don't want to touch them? What is it about our space that we think you don't want my germs?
You don't want to get sick like I've been sick?
And nobody's sick, right? Everybody has this, it's just allergies.
I
I'm
cannot
not sick.
stand that excuse. That is my number one. Honestly, if you want to know all my pet peeves.
Well, there's one. There's definitely a big one.
There's a big one. That is it. Don't tell me. I see you. You look feverish. You have chills.
Snotting,
I'm pretty sure you just vomited.
Boogers.
And you're going to tell me, oh, it's just allergies. I just have allergies. No, you are sick. You have a
No.
virus or a bacterial infection. You need to get that checked out.
Seriously. Well, and then when people, the first day they get on antibiotics for any kind of infection,
I'm not contagious anymore. No.
how do you know you're not? Did you ask the bacteria in your body?
But you...
Did the virus tell you that it wasn't going to jump off you?
I know for a fact there are
Come
good
on.
doctors and nurses out there who explain to people what being contagious means, and that just because you took the pill 5 minutes ago does not mean you are suddenly not contagious.
Yes.
I know that doctors are telling people this, but for some reason we walk out of the doctor's office and people are like, you know what? I feel great. I feel better just mentally knowing that I'm going to have medicine. When I get to the pharmacy, I might as well just cough all over the place.
No, stop it.
Wash your hands.
Listen, wash your hands.
With
all right?
soap.
Soap and water, both of them.
Yes.
And don't just use hand sanitizer. That's okay, but you need soap and water.
First of all, it's not good for your skin
But
to
I'm
just use
just
that.
saying, it's okay if you're in a pinch, but make sure you wash your hands and don't be offended. Don't get all, upset if somebody's like, hey, there's a lot of germs going around. How about we don't shake hands? How about
Yeah.
we don't be like, what? You don't want to shake my hand? Just deal with it. It's germs out there,
and
man. It's
church is
real.
the one place where people get the most offended over that stuff.
Oh, and okay, we're kind of getting off subject, but listen to this one. You know
I'm
what is,
listening.
You know what is so frustrating, and if you go to a church, you'll get this. When you try to keep your kids away from people who may have germs, and those people
my
act
goodness.
you just offended them. Listen, I don't care if your feelings are hurt. My child's not getting pneumonia just so you feel good about yourself,
Hacking
Gertrude.
in the pew.
That's not what we're doing today.
Not all right.
And so if I keep my kid away from you at church, it's not anything against you. Don't take it as a personal offense. It's because I don't want germs on my kid.
Or if I don't want your sick kid near me.
Yes,
Or my kid.
that's okay.
That's all right.
It's okay to set those boundaries.
It's called herd immunity, and these are the things that help support it. This is just a
Listen.
small part of it.
Listen, y'all, you have permission from the NixMyth podcast to tell people, listen,
Wash your hands.
I don't want your germs. Wash your hands.
Did you wash your hands before you made my food?
Did you? Did you?
Okay, then
Before
go back in there and wash
Before you brought
them.
the casserole to the potluck, did you
So,
wash your hands?
Sorry, this is a side note again.
All these side.
My
This is all
dad-
part of it.
My dad is my favorite person to go to a restaurant with
Okay.
because I always knew he would critique anything he saw that was out of sorts.
My aunt does that.
Like if the server touched their hair
Yes.
while they're taking your order, they haven't even brought your food out.
Yeah.
My dad would be the one like, hey, excuse me, are you gonna wash your hands when you go back there? Because you're gonna bring my food out later and you're touching your hair. Like,
Hey,
seriously.
Listen, it's my food. If I don't want your hair in it, I should have that right.
I would be
That's all
so
I'm saying.
embarrassed as a kid, like, oh my gosh, stop. It's not a big deal. No. And
Nah.
even when we're cooking at home,
Nah,
he'd be,
bruh.
are you going to wash your hands? I just saw you scratch your nose. I wasn't picking my nose. Yeah, but you scratched it with your elbow.
Now that's talent. I don't know how you scratched your nose with your elbow, with the bobo. Okay, but here's what we're getting to.
Yeah.
You can be really passionate and you can be really upset about something, and you can still be wrong. Yes, I said still. Listen, it slips out. Y'all bear with me. I am from Southern California, born and bred. And sometimes it slips out
It still slips out.
when I
doesn't
say
it?
words that have the I or the EA in the middle or a double E. I say them all the same. It's
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, it's true. He does.
Sometimes I hit a hard R at the end of a word. And it's
Yeah.
all right. Just you got to roll with it.
It just was funny.
So you can still
Thank
be
you.
wrong.
Thank you.
And so what we want to dive into is that, listen, you should feel your feelings.
Right.
God has given you feelings for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay for you to be emotional. It's okay for you to get upset. It's okay for you to be passionate.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that just being passionate doesn't mean that you're right.
Right. And the misunderstanding we have, and I think the cultural lie that we believe is, well, if I'm the most emotional
Mm-hmm.
and therefore getting the most attention about a
Right.
subject, that must mean that I'm right.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a sense of it, I think, that we're validated when people commiserate,
Mm-hmm.
when people can, in a sense, like feed into our emotional distress.
Yeah.
We then feel validated, and that validation we then take as, well, now I'm right about this
Yeah.
subject.
I've got to be right because everyone's on my side.
But
Everyone.
now, just because you feel some type of way about something does not automatically make you right.
No, in fact, sometimes you can be wrong just by being upset about something. that you
It's
shouldn't be upset
true.
about.
It's so
Like,
true.
and here's another thing. You can be upset and not blast it everywhere.
Yeah.
You can be upset and be like, listen, I know that I may be overreacting, but I'm angry.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you know what? I'm just going to keep this to myself for now.
Yeah.
Until I sort all these feelings out, until I get through emoting, I'm just going to keep it to myself. Because I don't know, listening world, if you know this, but we've had a pretty intense February.
Yeah.
We were diving into some pretty good topics
Yeah.
that are real to us. And
Relevant.
we were talking about race, and we were talking about culture, and we were talking about our upbringing and experiences that we have personally had.
Real life.
Real life, no myth. And people got upset.
Yeah.
We upset some folks. So if you're one of the folks we upset, I'm not going to apologize.
No.
Because we were just speaking what we know to be the truth in our life,
Yeah.
and what God has shown us through that. But man, people get really, really upset, and they spend
do.
a lot of time and energy being angry, yet they're dead wrong.
Right. Which is weird because, like, okay, like you said, it's one thing to, be upset about something, to feel strongly about something,
Yeah.
and then to walk away from that and say, you know what, I feel this way. And honestly, that takes a lot of maturity that
It does.
I
And
don't,
self-awareness.
yeah, I don't think most people have,
Yeah.
especially most people in our culture, like in our American culture.
Yeah.
We just don't have that self-awareness and that self-regulation
Mhm.
to say, I feel this way. Why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
You know what? Is it because I'm hungry? Am I hangry? Or is this
Do
really
I
a
need
top?
a Snickers
like
right now? Is that what's going
am
on?
I not myself? Like, instead of really evaluating where the emotion comes from,
Yeah.
we instantly take ownership of the emotion. Well, maybe not even ownership. We just take that and run with it
Yeah.
and use it as a weapon
Yeah.
and use it as almost a manipulative tool in
Yeah.
any kind of discourse.
Yeah. And that concept of using your emotion as a weapon is it's destructive to relationships. It's
Yeah.
not how you build community. It's
Mhm.
not how you build rapport with anybody.
Yeah.
Really what it makes you is an emotional bully. It makes you an emotional tyrant.
See, and the word bully, I have a problem with that.
Why?
Because
Yeah.
right now in our culture, we're just so, like, bullying
Mhm.
has been, we're hypersensitive to bullying.
Which is why actually I use the word, because I want people to be aware that that's what they're doing.
Okay.
But I hear what you're
Okay.
saying. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, there is a hypersensitivity, and there are a lot of people that have been bullied, and so I'm not trying to take away from the bullying
Right.
issue.
Right.
But just to add to that hypersensitivity, when you are using your emotions to dominate a relationship, whatever that looks like, you are in fact emotionally bullying.
Yeah.
You are trying to be a tyrant. You're trying to rule that situation.
Yeah.
Using nothing, no logic. You're not using
Yeah.
right or wrong morals, no standards.
Yeah.
You're just using brute force of emotion.
Okay, so what you're describing actually just kind of painted a picture for me. And it's weird because I was judging forensics tournament
Like you
this
were
evening.
actually one of the judges. You weren't sitting back judging the forensic.
No, I was actually asked. I was volunteering at the high
adjudicating.
school. So it was like a regional tournament.
Uh-huh.
And it wasn't a speech. It was like a serious acting piece.
Okay.
But one of the things that the girl said in it, she talked about, she was actually discussing sexual assault.
Okay.
But what she said to her assaulter,
Mhm.
was that right? Assaulter?
Assaulter, the assailant.
The rapist?
There we
I
go.
don't know.
That works.
What she said in this piece
Call a
to
spade a
him,
spade.
right, was, you don't get to be the place where your rage, or no, I don't get to be the place where your rage is deposited. In other words, like, I refuse to be the one where all of your emotional instability lands.
Yeah.
And when you are bullying someone, when you are using your emotions and it's kind of like, in elementary school, the bully was always mean to kids, but it was because, like, they really had an emotional problem.
Yeah, they were
insecure,
emotionally insecure,
or, yeah, all these things,
unstable.
or they had a bad home life, whatever it is.
Yeah.
As the person receiving the bullying, we have to kind of set aside our feelings for a moment.
Yeah.
So to speak, and say, I'm not going to be the one. I'm not the one. I'm not the one where all of your
Yeah.
brute force and your anger about whatever happened to you, I'm not the one that's going to
I love
receive
that
that.
phrase. That reminds me of my mom so much.
I'm not the
I'm
one.
not the one.
Although she would use it a little bit more
No,
aggressively.
no, I'm not the one.
I'm not the one for you to say that
Well,
to
and really
today.
what she was saying is, I'm not the one you want to try today.
Right.
I'm not in a very constructive. Listen, I'm not the one that did it to you. I didn't do
Right.
anything wrong. It's like, I'm not the one you want to come at.
Right.
Actually, one of my brother's favorite sayings, and I love this, is I think he took it from Muhammad Ali, but it says, you would rather sandpaper a tiger's rear end than to mess with me. And that's what my brother used to say. I'm not the one today. I'm not the one. But so that idea of trying to deposit our rage, trying to use our rage to justify our argument, right? Because we now use emotion to justify. It's whoever's the most booty hurt, right? So if you don't know that
booty
phrase,
hurt.
I'm not saying anything crass or insensitive. It's just
No.
a phrase that means emotionally upset.
You could also say butt hurt or bottom hurt.
Or you can say took it personally.
There we go.
The person who is the most upset is the one that all of a sudden you're not allowed to correct them.
Right.
If you walk in and you're angry and you're loud, all of a sudden nobody can address you because, just leave, it's fine, just leave. No, they're wrong. I don't care how mad they are.
Yeah.
You can be mad and be wrong.
Oh my goodness.
It's okay. They're not like mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You can't be like, well, I'm so angry so nobody can talk to me. I'll tell you though, I have used this trick before at the job. I'm just gonna listen. I'm gonna out y'all. If you use this, I'm sorry. I hope your employer's not using you. Right. If you walk into your job late, but you are just upset.
It's true. No one's going to say anything.
No one's going to say anything. If you're late, but you walk in, you slam your briefcase down or whatever you carry to work. I don't know what you got. And then you're just all like grumbling and griping. People are going to be like, wow, he's having a rough morning. She's having a bad day.
And you know what? I know that gets used with female students. I'm just saying, I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it used. And I've heard women talk about using it when they get pulled over. I've never personally used it. I don't know anyone who actually personally has gotten out of a ticket this way. But using my fragile emotional state to avoid consequences.
Being off, like crying and stuff.
Yes, and
crying,
I know for a fact there are high school teachers, male teachers, who are like, because I don't want to mess with that. Like, she's crying and I don't want anything. You know what? What do you want? Oh, do you want cookies, chocolate? You don't want to take the test? Okay. I know of this having happened.
Yeah. And there's a line. I think we should be compassionate for people when they're experiencing true trauma.
Yes.
Your grandparent died. You're dealing with, you got in a car wreck that morning. Yeah. You need a little break, but a lot of times.
But you're on your period. I'm sorry. You need to just kind of experience that.
Listen, I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm going to say it.
Wow.
I'm going to say
Did I just open the door for you?
No. Okay. So I feel like I felt this way my whole life.
Okay.
That, men and women, we're treated unfairly when it comes to emotional regulation.
True.
Men are told, you can be angry, but you're going to deal with the consequences of your anger.
Okay.
So you can rage, but you're going to go to jail or you're going to go sit in the principal's office.
Yeah.
You can hit that kid, but you're going to be suspended.
Yeah.
Whereas little girls are never taught that. What little girls are taught is as long as you're raging against a boy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, because he can't hit you back.
Because he can't hit you back, and it was probably his fault anyway. And I remember growing up, again, mostly raised by my mother. My mother taught me that if anybody, man, woman, they can hurt you if they attack you. And so you need to defend and protect yourself. So I was a very egalitarian child.
Right.
And I remember so many times in junior high and elementary and junior high school, late in elementary, early junior high, when girls were becoming women, little girls just raging, going off, hitting people, yelling and cussing and screaming. And I remember I'd stand up and be like, no, that's not okay. Like, you can't, you're not going to hit me. You're not going to, well, Nick, you just don't understand. They're going through, I don't care about their change.
Yeah.
They can keep their hands to themselves.
Right.
And I think we don't give people the ability to just call right and wrong.
Yeah.
When emotions get involved.
Right.
Because it's like, you can't tell me I'm wrong. I'm upset. I don't care if you're upset.
Doesn't
you're still
matter.
wrong.
Yeah, or you can't correct me in the middle of my emotional, discontent. Yes, you can be corrected. Now, applying that correction may take time.
Yes.
But otherwise, if we operated with that with our children, we would never be able to discipline them.
Oh my goodness, never.
Especially, I know right now at the stage we're at with our 3-year-old.
Our lovely daughter.
If we did everything tiptoeing around her emotions and not correcting her, telling her she's wrong, just because she has tears in her eyes,
yeah,
we would have a I don't even want to think about what we would have in
We
10,
would have a
15
tyrant.
years.
We
Yeah.
would have someone who emotionally ran our household based on
Yeah.
their mood.
And
And
we would be the ones victim to that.
yeah, and you know what? I had a friend in college who admitted to me one time. He said, "Listen, sometimes I don't even know what I'm arguing about. If I can talk louder and faster than the other person, I win."
Oh,
And
yes.
that was the
Yes.
tactic. And he used this concept of, you
Mm.
know what? As long as I'm sharing, if I'm feeling my feelings, if I'm
Yeah.
putting them out there, then nobody can correct me. And he would use it to his advantage, and it was hilarious to see it actually done.
Yeah.
But for some reason, we can talk about this objectively for children, right? We can look and
Right.
say, well, of course, kids, you got to teach them. But when we're in relationship with people, and I'm not talking about abusive relationships with man and woman or whatever your
Right. Right.
situation is, your home situation, but I'm saying like in general, in
Yeah.
society,
Mm-hmm.
we tend to stray away from if someone's upset, um, we're not allowed to say anything about that situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not telling you go out there and argue with people who may punch you in the face, unless you just want to fight, and then that's your own business. It has nothing to do with me. But
You're still wrong.
you're still wrong. But what I'm saying is, if you are in a situation and somebody is wrong, but they're passionately stating their case,
Mm-hmm.
we can't shy away from sharing the truth with people.
Exactly.
And I remember
Yeah.
having a conversation with pastors, and it was said, basically there was some heresy, some false theology
Mm-hmm.
that was being taught, and I remember being like, "Hey, this actually goes against Scripture."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Well, you can't actually use these words because those words could trigger someone who
Oh my
may have."
word.
Listen, I understand your emotional distress, and I validate that.
Mm-hmm. But we don't alter the truth and the reality of what
Exactly.
is just because now, like you said, we can approach this, especially one on one.
Yeah.
Like if you're preaching to a congregation or you're giving a speech or whatever, there's going to be possibly hundreds of different perspectives that
Yeah.
you're dealing with. You will not be able to cater to every single person in that room. There's just
That's
no
right.
way for you to do that. And to even put that expectation on yourself or on a speaker or a
Mhm.
preacher is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, like, we can approach these things individually, like in counseling with professionals or just one on one Bible study, different things. We can
Yeah.
start to go more in depth. And yes, we can kind of tailor our language and our approach of a subject. But when it comes to communicating, especially in the church,
Yeah.
like far be it from you, preacher, to allow one person's arrested development to
It's a good show,
hinder,
by the way.
yes, it is, to hinder you from preaching the truth.
That's right. Well, and I don't know why, I don't know where this came from or why it is, but I know that in the church, we have to stop it.
Mm,
Like in the church,
stop it.
you just cut it. You cut it out.
Cut it out.
You put that back. But we can't feed into victimization,
Yeah.
like the victim mentality
Yeah.
that's being perpetuated, because a lot of times there are people that hold congregations, that hold companies, that hold
Mm.
small groups
Mm-hmm.
emotionally captive because they'll start crying.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not talking about real trauma. I'm talking about emotional manipulation.
Right. There's a difference.
Yes,
Yeah.
there's differences when you have a breakthrough, and
Mm-hmm.
that moment just needs to be about that breakthrough. That's
Right.
completely. But when it becomes a ritual,
Yeah.
every time I'm
And a
challenged, I
pattern.
cry.
Yep.
Every time I'm wrong, I cry, or
Yeah.
I get angry, or I storm out,
Yeah.
or I cross my arms and I clam up, because then that's my defense mechanism.
Yeah. And that is often the result of unchecked manipulation, unchecked emotional um, irregulation. I guess that's the right
Yeah,
word
let's
for it.
use it.
And
Let's roll with it.
honestly, like Francis Chan talked about that in his book, Letters to the Church.
Yeah, great book. If you've never read
Yeah.
it, read that.
So good. But he kind of talks a little bit about this,
Mhm.
how we're kind of handcuffed in ministry to where if someone comes to you and he describes a situation where a woman came and truth was spoken to her and it was kind of like, well, this is the way it is. And she like started crying like, you're hurting me.
Yes,
And it was like
yes.
this dramatic display. And he
Yeah,
was like, at that point, what could I do? Because now she's the victim.
yeah.
And like that, there's so many instances of that in the church.
Just to clarify, he wasn't actually hurting her.
He was not physically hurting her. He was not doing anything to cause
Yeah.
harm to her.
Yeah.
He was being a pastor. He was being a Christian brother to this person.
Yeah.
And we encounter that in ministry there's a lot of that, like where you may tell someone that, hey, this is something that we need to work through. We're going to have to address this issue. We like if there's church discipline or whatever has to happen. And suddenly you're handcuffed because, well, that hurt my feelings, or I didn't like the way you did that. That didn't feel a certain type of way to me.
Yeah.
And therefore, because I feel really strongly in this way, now you can't move forward.
Well, and I think part of that in the church especially comes from this weird understanding where people identify with their sin or their brokenness so much that when you address the brokenness or you address the sin, all of a sudden it's an attack.
Yeah.
It's a personal attack about who I've identified as for so long
Yeah.
that now just because I don't want to let go of that part of me,
Yeah.
so now I'm going to lean into the victim mentality.
Yeah.
And again, people are going to twist whatever they want to twist whenever they hear it, but
Yeah.
I'm not meaning true issues.
Yeah.
What I
Not
mean,
true trauma and
yes,
actual situations where you have been victimized or
yes,
abused.
exactly. But if you deal with the sin in your life and you're just not ready to give it up, and whenever somebody speaks truth to you, you start to justify or get angry or get sad or get upset, then you're using your sin as your identity instead of finding healing and wholeness in Christ.
Yeah.
You're holding on to that because the fear of the wholeness, the fear of the healing is scarier than dealing with the sin.
Yeah. So the image that I just had as you're explaining this of like, it almost makes me think of nurturing something.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
much
that's
like
good.
if my sin, if we look at, and scripture talks about this, like the conception of something and
Yeah.
the seed. And then if you have that and you're hiding it, it's almost as if you've been nursing this child and you've been caring for them and you've really poured so much of yourself into hiding it and nurturing it that now if anyone comes and attacks it, it's as if they're attacking your child. They're
Yeah.
attacking an extension of who you are.
That's
And
good.
while you don't want that to ever grow up and mature, like really you don't want your sin to reach its full potential, which is death.
Yeah.
You also don't want to give it up because it's your baby and you've had it for so long and you're so comfortable with it. And I mean, if you think about what that can do to a mind, even though no one's thinking like my sin is my baby.
Yeah.
If you really think about what goes into nurturing and protecting something, we can do that with our sin.
Yeah.
And
You're
at
right.
the same time say that we don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Like I take care of my kids, but there are some times where I'm like, really, I need a break. And we do that with our sin too.
Yeah, well, and with the sin, it's easier to use these scapegoat tactics, these emotional outbursts, to not deal with the sin, but also not admit to wanting the sin.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if as long as I can use this outburst, then I don't have to address my sin. I don't have to repent. I also don't have to admit. I don't have to admit that I'm choosing my sin
Right.
because I've recused myself from the situation altogether. And I've used my emotionality as a boundary to keep health away from. You know what it reminds me of is if you've ever approached an injured or sick animal,
Oh yeah.
they need your help.
Especially if they're the closer they are to death.
Yeah, or if they're protecting, say they got a young,
Yeah.
a child of some sort. But if you're walking up on a stray dog that has a broken leg,
Yeah.
it will bite you.
Yeah.
But the truth is that you need to get close enough to help that
Yeah.
animal. And not to say that we're animals, but what I'm saying is that same mentality, that same fleshly desire to listen, I don't want this broken leg, but I also don't want you to touch it.
Yeah.
That's what we do with our sin. And when we're feeling some sort of way over an issue, we tend to react like that. It's like, well, listen, I don't want to actually deal with being wrong. I
Yeah.
don't want to actually identify. You know what I mean? I don't want to
Yeah.
fix the problem.
Yeah.
I just don't want you talking about it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Just from I'm picturing our 3-year-old right now.
Yeah.
Like this is her life right now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why we're talking about this.
And maybe real life.
It's helping
no
us
myth.
process.
But you know what? This is part of what's going on in culture, actually.
Mhm.
So you posted something actually regarding the Emmett Till anti-lynching
Yeah.
law.
Yeah.
And if you didn't know, the federal government has finally passed a federal mandate, a federal law against lynching.
Yeah. So it's been illegal. Like this wasn't saying
Yeah,
like,
like
oh,
murdering
finally.
people has never been okay.
Right. And states, some states had recognized like lynching especially
Is
is
a hate
pretty rough. Like don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Hopefully they worded it a little stronger than
I
that,
hope they
but
did.
yes.
But now this was actually passed like federally. It's
Yeah.
punishable on a federal level.
Yeah, yeah. And so what you had said was, there's a lot of people that don't like to admit that racism is real.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm just kind of bringing it back
Yeah.
to what started this whole
Yeah.
conversation. There's a lot of, especially in the Christian community, because as brothers and sisters in Christ, a lot of us don't experience racism in our churches. A lot of us don't.
Not outright.
No, not
Mhm.
outright. And we can see like, well, I love this person and I'm engaged with this person who looks different than me, and
Mhm.
I go on missions trips. Like, we really don't see that in our sphere. So instead of dealing with the systemic racism that's present,
Mhm.
instead of acknowledging the hurt that's in someone else's life, a lot of times people would rather get upset and be like, "Oh, they're just race baiting," or "Oh, they're just trying to upset
Yeah.
me. They're just
Yeah.
trying to stir the pot." No,
They're
no,
causing
you're
division.
just causing. No, what we're doing is illuminating the sin,
Yeah.
but the emotionality that is your response
Mhm.
doesn't mean that you're right.
Exactly.
And I don't remember what I was going to go with that. Sorry. I was like, and another thing.
Another thing, you're wrong. You're not right. You're wrong.
Well, here, let's give some practical
Yeah.
tips.
Yeah.
Things you can do with this truth now that you've heard it.
Right. So we've talked about understanding that your emotions don't dictate truth. I think practically what that looks like is really stopping yourself from trying to, how can I say this without it sounding like super
I don't know. Just say it. We'll figure it
weird?
out.
Don't force your emotions onto another person to change their perspective.
Yeah.
Like, we may know that we can't change the truth. We can't change reality. Like, you can't just say something and then make somebody else do something different.
Yeah.
But we can still manipulate through conversation. Like, but don't you understand? But don't you see my perspective? Don't you want to?
Don't
But
you know
isn't
that makes me mad? So you probably shouldn't talk
right?
about that.
And
Yeah.
honestly, like, I remember when we've done some ministry, engaging with individuals in situations where we've had to say no, or we've had to put a boundary in place that's healthy.
Yeah.
I know we've heard that. Well, that you're only saying this because you hate me, or you're only saying this because you want to hurt me. And when you say this, it makes me, and it starts this train of thought
Yeah.
that, oh my gosh, if I don't give in to you, then something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
So understand that even though another person may not agree, or they may have a perspective that you're like, that isn't,
Yeah.
you don't need to manipulate the conversation to make them think what you think. That makes sense?
Yeah, that's great. And building off of that, feel your feelings. And what that means is your feelings are yours. You need to take ownership of them.
Mm-hmm.
You need to know that even though your feelings are not truth, they may be directing you to a deeper truth that you need to evaluate.
Yeah.
If you get upset over something, or you get sad over something, or you get whatever, if all of a sudden you feel this deep emotion that you feel like you need to react out of, and you need to take a step back and be like, okay, I need to feel this. I need to acknowledge that this feeling is there, but now I need to examine it. Why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
When this person speaks about this topic, why does that hurt me so much? Why does it upset me?
Yeah.
Because it may be a signal, it may be a sign that points to a deeper hurt that needs to be addressed.
And most of the time it is. Like, our emotions do help us to gauge. It's almost like a barometer, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
A lot of times we can use them to say, like, okay, well, how are you feeling in life? Like, what's going on in your life? Is there something bigger going on that's now affecting this? And even in like psychology and therapy and different things, that's a tool that's used.
Yeah.
It's part of self-regulation. It's part of self-awareness. It's part of maturing as an adult, as a human being, to be able to step back and to not react immediately, to say, okay, why and where? And part of it, as a believer, honestly, most of the time I have to do this. I have to first admit that what I'm feeling is sin, which is the hardest part of feeling my feelings, is like, okay, I'm mad. I'm really mad about that. Okay, well, why are you angry? Well, I'm angry because really I'm jealous, or really because I feel entitled, or
because I'm selfish.
yeah, because the anger isn't the issue.
That's right.
Like, be angry and do not sin.
Yeah.
But the issue may be that my pride, my arrogance, my entitlement, my coveting has led me to feel anger.
Yeah.
And that is a really hard part for us as Christians. But we need to not just say, okay, why am I feeling this way? But is what I'm feeling sin? Is this part of a bigger issue in my heart?
Yeah. And know that God gave you that emotion for that reason. God gave you the emotion so that you can use that to seek Him for clarification.
Yeah.
Not so that you can use the emotion in and of itself for justification.
Yeah.
Your emotions are not justification for anything.
Yeah.
But they should be something that help you clarify what it is you're truly feeling.
Exactly.
And so that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah. Another thing, and this is like a separate myth that maybe we could probably do a whole other episode on, but
Maybe. We'll see. What we
it's
got?
this myth that like if you don't prove that someone else is wrong, or you wait, what is it? Like if you don't prove that someone else is wrong, then you're not really right.
I think, let me see if I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
So if I don't prove to you that you're wrong, then you're going to think you're right.
Exactly. That's what it is.
I have to
so it's
prove
like,
to you that you're wrong.
I have
Otherwise,
to prove to you, and you have to admit that I'm right and you're wrong. Like
it's that combative mentality.
Yes, we have. It's almost like you must submit to me.
Yeah, that's what
and
it is.
It's a myth because this is crazy. You can be right, and other people can be wrong, and you can walk away knowing that, and it's okay in your life if someone is dead wrong and they're doing, like, even if they're acting out of their wrong emotions or wrong motives, you can still walk away and be right, and it's okay. And here's the thing, in doing that is an element of righteousness. Like Christ is in that. To be able to walk away from people who are wrong, which he did all the time.
All the time. He let people be wrong.
He let them be wrong.
The rich young ruler, he set the boundary and said, hey, it is what it is.
This is the truth, man.
Yeah,
Deal with it.
If you're with it, you're with it.
And you can do that.
And I remember having this conversation with somebody, and this is what it goes back to. People want to say, well, everyone can have their own opinions. Yeah, but not every opinion is equal.
Yeah.
If your opinion is wrong, it's wrong.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. Let people have their own opinions. And you can just let people be wrong. You don't have to get emotionally invested into whether or not they know they're wrong. Sometimes, yes, it's important. We have to teach our children right from wrong. But husbands, don't beat it don't beat this into your wife. Like, you have to know. And
don't beat your wife.
Definitely. Why would you call the wife an it? See?
Oh, my goodness.
I win that one. But don't try to win the argument.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to allow the Holy Spirit to work on someone's heart to show them where they're wrong.
Yeah.
Because your voice may not be the one that helps persuade them to understand the truth or the error in their ways.
Yeah. And okay, so preachy moment for just a second.
Let's do it.
There's only one good and there's only one right. Capital G, capital R. There's only one being who is good and right in all things, who's just and merciful and loving and kind and gracious in all things. There's only one.
That's right.
And if by not trying to prove someone else wrong, you can point them to the one who is good and right.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's worth it to let them walk away and be wrong. If your reaction, your response is Christ, if you're
filled
doing
with
that,
grace,
yes,
filled with love,
it's worth it to be seen as wrong in their eyes.
That's right.
And that's something like
Paul says, why not? Why not be sued? Why not be wronged?
Why not? Like, I would rather do that for Christ. And that's something that, again, that comes with experience. Like, I say that with some weight in there because I know how hard it is. I'm a firstborn. I am. And
I'm not saying nothing.
I like to see the result of right.
Yeah.
My husband knows this.
I hear you.
But there are times I've felt more satisfaction in walking away from something and not having to prove someone wrong or prove myself right than the times where I have. Because I expend that energy. No, I'm right. I'm right. I'm right.
And then it's empty.
And then it's like, well, they conceded. That's no fun.
Yeah. They don't actually believe you're right. They just didn't want to argue anymore.
Right. Whereas if you walk away like, okay, Lord, you are good and you are true.
Yeah. And just pray, Lord, deal with their heart. Because right now, I'm not going to do it.
I'm not going to try.
I'm going to stay safe.
There goes our cousin.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging in with us this week. This month is going to be so busy. We've got stuff going on. Kylie Jo has tour dates coming up. If you want Kylie Jo to come sing at your church, at your event, if you want us to come speak, do whatever.
Yeah.
Get at us on our website.
Yeah, we have a tab on there. It says book us.
Yeah. Oh, and she ain't said nothing.
Oh.
KylieJoMusic.com.
Oh, yeah.
She's got her own website now.
It's up now.
So www.KylieJoMusic.com.
Yeah, and you can totally get on there. And it also links back to the NixMyth podcast because I'm like that, okay?
It's what it is.
Unapologetic.
Awesome. Well, this has been the NixMyth podcast. We hope that you've gotten a dose of real life.
No myth. Be blessed.